The clock is ticking in Washington, and this isn't just a political theater. Behind closed doors, a high stake countdown is unfolding that could reshape US foreign policy overnight. The Trump administration is now staring down a critical war powers deadline tied to escalating tensions with Iran, and the consequences of what happens next could ripple far beyond Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are demanding answers, military officials are on alert, and global markets are watching every move. This isn't just another headline, it's a moment that could decide whether America steps deeper into conflict or pulls back from the edge. Over the past few weeks, military activity in the Middle East has quietly intensified. Strategic deployment, intelligence warnings, and diplomatic signals are all pointing in one direction. Something big is building. But here is where it gets serious. The war powers resolution requires the president to seek a congressional approval for sustained military engagement, and that deadline is now fast approaching. If action isn't taken, it could trigger a constitutional clash between the executive branch and Congress, something we haven't seen at this scale in years. What makes this situation even more intense is how divided Washington is right now. Some lawmakers argue that decisive military action is necessary to counter Iran's growing influence and protect US interests in the region. Others warn that rushing into conflict without a clear strategy could drag the country into another prolonged war, one that Americans are increasingly wary of after years of overseas engagements. Behind the scenes, negotiations are tense. Advisors are weighing military options, diplomatic channels are being tested, and intelligence reports are being scrutinized for any sign of imminent threat. Meanwhile, allies are watching closely, unsure whether to prepare for escalation or push for de escalation. The administration is walking a tightrope, move too aggressively and risk backlash both at home and abroad. Move too cautiously and risk appearing weak in the face of rising tensions. This isn't just about a policy, it's about a perception, power, and the balance of global stability. The Iran factor adds another layer of complexity. Tehran has been signaling resistance, warning that any aggressive move by the United States would be met with serious consequences. Recent developments suggest increased military readiness on their side as well, with regional proxies potentially being activated as part of a broader strategy. This isn't a simple two country standoff. It's a web of alliance, rivalries, and strategic interest stretching across the Middle East. Oil routes, security partnerships, and geopolitical influences are all at stake. If tensions escalate into open conflict, the impact could be immediate and global. Energy prices could spike, supply chains could be disrupted, and financially markets could react with volatility. Investors are already on edge, and any sudden shift could trigger a ripple effect across economies. This is why the war powers deadline matters so much. It's not just a legal requirement, it's a signal to the world about what America intend to next. What back home, the political implications are just as significant. With elections always looming in the background, decisions like these carry enormous weight. Voters are paying attention, especially when it comes to issues of war and national security. Public opinion is divided, with some calling for strength and others arguing um, urging restraint. Media coverage is intense, and every statement from the administration is being dissected for clues about the next move. If Congress steps in and challenges the administration's authority, it could lead to a major shutdown, one that tests the limit of a potential power and the presidential power. On the other hand, if approval is granted or the deadline is bypassed, it could set a precedent for future military action. This moment isn't just about Iran, it's about how decisions are made, who gets to make them, and what that means for democracy moving forward. Globally, allies and adversaries alike are recalibrating their strategies. European nations are urging diplomacy, pushing for renewed talks to avoid escalations. Meanwhile, regional players are preparing for all scenarios, strengthening defense and reassessing alliances. The United Nations has already uh, signaled concern calling for restraint and dialogue. But the reality is, once the deadline passes, the window for peaceful resolution could narrow dramatically. Military planners are already considering contingency scenarios from limited strikes to broader engagement. Each option carries risk, not just in terms of immediate impact but long term consequences. History has shown that conflicts in this region rarely stay contained. What starts as a targeted operation can quickly evolve into something far more complex. That's why this moment is so critical, because the decisions made now could shape the geopolitical landscapes for years to come. For everyday Americans, this might feel distant, but the impact could hit closer to home than expected. From rising gas prices to shifts in the stock market, global tensions have a way of affecting daily life. Beyond the economic impact, there is also the human factor. Military families, veterans, and the communities connected to service members are all watching closely, knowing that decisions made in Washington could send troops into harm's way. This isn't just about, it's about people, livelihoods, and the future. As the deadline approaches, one thing is clear: the stakes couldn't be higher. Whether this leads to conflict or compromise will depend on the choices made in the coming days. And for viewers like you, staying informed isn't just important, it's essential, because in moments like this, the line between global events and personal impact becomes thinner than ever. If you like the video, please consider subscribing this channel, and live healthy.